Okay, hello. And welcome back to our fifth episode now. For wait, नेट का कुछ इश्यू है क्या? Okay. आई होप स्ट्रीम में फ्रेम्स ड्रॉप नहीं हो रहे बिकॉज यहाँ पर मुझे दिख रहा है वेबकैम का स्ट्रीम. एनीवे, सो हम लोग का जो टॉप डाउन शूटर है वो हम लोग कंटिन्यू करते हैं आज फिफ्थ एपिसोड. इसमें हम लोग ने सेम प्रोजेक्ट जहाँ से वी हैड लेफ्ट वही चालू करेंगे. आई विन हैव द टू डू लिस्ट जो हम लोग ने अपडेट नहीं किया था, बट एटलीस्ट हम लोग इसको यूज़ कर सकते हैं एज अ रेफरेंस. एंड दिस इज़ व्हाट वी हैड क्रिएटेड. एंड लास्ट में लगी चीट्स का मैंने बनाया था जी दबा के. एंड हाँ, ये शूटिंग के थोड़े बहुत इश्यूज थे जो एंड में आई थिंक मैंने कुछ चेंजेस किया था उसके वजह से आ रहे हैं. सो एनीवे, हम लोग इसके साथ कंटिन्यू करते हैं. सो फर्स्ट तो रिलेटेड टू आर मूवमेंट. अभी करंटली यू कैन सी कि एज लॉन्ग एज आई क्लिक इनसाइड तभी वो मूव हो रहा है, नहीं तो इट्स नॉट रोटेटिंग. आई थिंक वो प्लेयर कंट्रोलर में हम लोग ने कुछ चेंजेस किया था उसके वजह से है. आई थिंक इट्स बिकॉज ऑफ दिस इनपुट में मैंने माउस को एज अ टच यूज़ किया है. हाँ, नाउ इट्स परफेक्ट. बस, थैंक यू. सो इतना हम लोग का हुआ था. Okay, currently cheats are on, so I won't take any damage, but we can see different types of. इधर रख दो ना, एक ही लूँगा मैं. यहाँ पर ये जो लीच को हम लोग ने स्पॉन किया था, दिस गाय आई थिंक डज नॉट टेक. हाँ, ये ग्रेनेड डैमेज नहीं लेता. सो ऐसा सिर्फ बनाया था, नॉट अभी के लिए. आई एम नॉट श्योर कि रखने वाले कि नहीं, बट दैट इज़ लाइक वन काइंड ऑफ थिंग जो हम लोग एनिमीज़ को अलग अलग वीकनेसेस एंड स्ट्रेंथ्स हम लोग दे सकते हैं. सो दैट प्लेयर विल हैव टू प्ले अकॉर्डिंग टू देयर वीकनेसेस. ओके, सो आज हम लोग क्या क्या कर सकते हैं. वी कैन इम्प्रूव दिस एनिमी लीच जिसका बेसिक पॉइंट वॉज टू स्पॉन मोर एनिमीज, तो वो एक चीज़ है विच वी कैन डू. सेकेंड इज आई वॉज थिंकिंग कि वी कैन also add like a second type of gun like shotgun or something which is like good for close range but like only for close range basically. long range में उसका कुछ ऐसा ज़्यादा effect नहीं होगा. then to see the effect अभी we have the health bar, but I was also thinking कि we can add some damage input numbers like RPGs में usually दिखता है. so डैमेज नंबर्स हम लोग को दिखेगा. हम लोग को वेव सिस्टम था, हाँ, जो लास्ट टाइम हम लोग का बाकी था क्रिएट करना. आई थिंक टू डू लिस्ट में मैंने यहाँ पर डाला है क्रिएट दिस वेव सिस्टम. सो दिस इज़ ऑल्सो वन थिंग विल डू. एंड डॉट क्रॉसर था, लास्ट टाइम हम लोग ट्राई कर रहे थे बनाने को बट हुआ नहीं सक्सेसफुल, तो वो हम लोग अभी कर लेंगे इसमें. ओके, एंड ये पार्ट इज़ काइंड ऑफ डन फॉर नाउ. लीच इज़ डन. God mode kind of done. Dot crosshair still left. इसका मैंने एक वे देखा था कि we'll have to I think use the user widget and then change the position because there is suppose we have this crosshair here which is I think मैंने इसको hidden रखा है. if I keep it to visible and I wanted to make this crosshair follow my mouse. एंड आई थिंक मैंने वो डिलीट कर दिया पार्ट. सो इसको अगर फॉलो करना है, देर वॉज दिस वे कि क्रॉसर अभी क्या है ये, इट इज़ अ बॉर्डर. इफ आई टेक दिस बॉर्डर हियर, I can do like position, this one, widget slot position. I can change my position based on 2D position in the viewport, and I can just do like player controller, and player controller will always have my mouse position. मेरा mouse कहाँ पर है मेरे viewport में. तो using this I can simply do, है ना. But this does not work. That's the issue. अगर मैं ये टिक पे करता हूँ, डू आई हैव टिक एनीवेयर? आई डोंट. आई एम यूजिंग टाइमर्स बिकॉज आई एम रिस्पॉन्सिबल. बट इफ़ आई यूज टिक एंड आई डू इट लाइक दिस, तो इन थियोरी मेरा जो भी माउस पोजीशन होगा वो मेरे क्रॉसहेयर को पोजीशन मिल जाएगा, एंड माई क्रॉसहेयर शुड टेक्निकली मूव, बट इट डज नॉट मूव. ओके, यू मे थिंक कि दिस पोजीशन इज़ मे बी रॉन्ग जो मुझे मिल रहा है. I can always print and see this location that I'm getting is not wrong. You can see it is my mouse position. जब mouse position is close to left side it is 0. When it goes to the right it is whatever. अभी 1600 है, अगर मैं full screen करता तो it will be close to like 1920, 1919. So it is giving me my mouse position, but my crosshair is still not being updated. तो वो जो इशू है, इट इज़, आई डोंट नो व्हाई इट हैपेंस. पहले वर्क करता था, आई हैव यूज दिस वन, बट आई थिंक फॉर सम रीज़न अभी UE5 में नहीं चल रहा है, या इसका कुछ वियर्ड अभी ये लोग ने किया है उसके साथ, फंक्शन के साथ, कि उसको वो कोई दूसरे वे से करता है. यू नीड समथिंग एल्स, बट दिस डज नॉट वर्क. सो व्हाट डज वर्क इज़ वी कैन सेट पोजिशन of the whole widget. This one, this works, but this will change the whole user widget. जो मेरा पूरा blueprint है उसको move करेगा वो. ये क्या कर रहा था मैं सिर्फ मेरे blueprint में से एक particular border को I was moving. I can't do that. I can move the whole widget. So basically I'll have to create a new widget for my crosshair. Okay, and this will maybe like just be a simple border or something for now. Hundred by 100 is fine, I think. And यहाँ पर I will remove this one. I can do this in my game mode. Where I'm spawning my HUD, I can also spawn crosshair. एंड इसी क्रॉसर को बेसिकली आई हैव टू सेट position in viewport. And I have to do this every frame. So suppose on tick I get my player controller and I get my mouse position. तो ये वर्क करना चाहिए. You can see बहुत ही हल्का सा वो दिख रहा है, but basically it's a border that is moving in our screen. Easy to do. It should be easy to do inside an HUD also, but I don't know वो क्यों नहीं work कर रहा है. But for now what I did is we took a different widget, basically extra widget हम लोग spawn कर रहे हैं और उसको हम लोग move कर रहे हैं. And if we want to change the size, तो I can change the Z order. Or I will have to change render scale probably. X and Y currently by 1 1, this is how they look like, I think. Yeah, I'll do 10. And this is what it looks like. बट ऑन 10 10 वो थोड़ा रेक्टेंगुलर दिख रहा है बिकॉज मेरा स्क्रीन का साइज़ वो बेसिकली ले रहा है. बिकॉज मैं स्क्रीन साइज इज़ 1920 बाई 1080 और 16:9, तो मेरा क्रॉसर भी मेरे को बेसिकली 16:9 में दिख रहा है. सो इफ़ आई डू 5:10 और 5 is too big, I think 3:6 or something, or 3:5, and this is okay, I think. Okay, better than mouse at least. ये क्रॉसर मैं दिखा सकता हूँ गेम में, and I can disable my, or I can lock my mouse now if I want to. And now we'll be able to see the issue if I kill this guy, so that where my crosshair is, my bullet doesn't go there. यहाँ पर कोई इशू नहीं है आगे मारने के लिए, एंड आई थिंक नीचे के लिए भी कुछ इशू नहीं होगा. दिस गाइस स्टॉप ट्रपलिंग में. यहाँ पर थोड़ा सा ऑफसेट दिख रहा है हम लोगों को, यहाँ नहीं दिख रहा. ओके, दैट इज़ ऑल बिकॉज ऑफ व्हाट एंगल वी आर लुकिंग एट. एंड जब मैं क्लिक करता हूँ तो वो बेसिकली हमारे, मैं ग्राउंड पे क्लिक कर रहा हूँ, तो इट इज़ ट्राइंग टू शूट above the ground, like ground level के ऊपर है थोड़ा सा बुलेट, तो it is going at the same location जहाँ मैं क्लिक कर रहा हूँ, but because of the angle that I'm looking at, it looks like it's not shooting at my crosshair. But for this I can't really do anything right now. Like if you want to make it completely accurate that the bullets go exactly where your crosshair is, so you will have to take an offset from where you are clicking to like above the crosshair. You'll have to like draw a line, and then that is where you'll have to shoot. Also real quick, I'll just see मेरा FPS कुछ drop हो रहा है नहीं. It's not bad. I think पहले हम लोग 60 या 70 FPS पे थे. Now we are on 45, 34. We've dropped down to 30 by default. Yep, 30. We'll check that later actually, but just to see that 29 ms and game is 11, draw is 12, GPU is taking most of our ms. Right now there isn't an issue, but issue will be in game. This thing says that the scene is rendering in 14 ms, but I know it's not. So anyway, वो हम लोग बाद में देखते हैं FPS drop and वो सब के issues. But first thing that we did was create like a simple crosshair today. Okay, second thing maybe I can do is like either damage numbers or the simple wave system. We won't create like a very complex wave system, but also about the wave system मैं सोच रहा था कि like there should be at least a very basic story game को, that right now we are just spawning the player and like enemies directly spawn होते जा रहे. We can have so that suppose our player starts from somewhere like outside here, they come to an area here which will be like surrounded by fence or something. There'll be a gate होगा वहाँ पर where the player can walk through, and as soon as they walk through, like there's a person they can talk to. We'll interact with them. The player talks to them, कुछ ऐसा dialogue something happens, and then after a while that gate closes and basically enemies are spawning, and those are like the waves. So there will be like 2 or 3 waves, and between the waves maybe we can go and talk to that person again. Like जब एक wave ख़त्म हो जाएगा, you can go, you can speak to that person again, and maybe कुछ story progress होगा. ऐसे 3-4 waves maybe we can do, and then maybe we'll progress further out. ऐसा आगे we can create a level where the player will again go, there will be a different arena or something. The player will like go to that person, he'll talk to them, and maybe he'll give us like a grenade or something upgrade, and then we'll fight again 3 or 4 waves with our new weapons, basically upgraded weapons or something. तो वैसे का एक सिंपल हम लोग स्टोरी रख सकते हैं गेम में, सो दैट देर इज़ समथिंग फॉर अ प्लेयर टू गो फॉरवर्ड फॉर, and as much as they keep going forward they'll keep unlocking different things. So maybe like we'll start with a base weapon. अभी के लिए राइफल is our base weapon, तो उसके साथ स्टार्ट करते हैं. Maybe we can upgrade it like to a shotgun later. Maybe we can get our grenade later on. अभी by default हम लोग के पास है, बाद में we can get it upgraded or something. So ऐसे थोड़े बहुत ideas है which I can try. And yeah, so that is why wave system right now is not a bad idea. Wave system तो बनाना ही है, but it depends on how we make it, because game कैसा चलने वाला है start to end उस पे depend करता है how we keep our wave logic. If our wave logic is just like wave starts and wave ends, and then after 5 seconds again a wave starts, wave ends, that is a different kind of logic जो endlessly basically चलते ही जाएगा game, waves and waves. We can like have a mode like that, or we can have like a different mode जिसमें we are progressing through a story. तो हम लोग जा रहे हैं थोड़ा टाइम, we talk, we have 3-4 waves, we go ahead, we again have 3-4 waves, we go ahead again, we have 3-4 waves, but between those 3-4 waves we have an upgrade path for the player, so that the player also feels like okay they are improving, but also you get something new to try it, so that every 3-4 waves के बाद they have something fresh, like the gameplay feels fresh, it doesn't feel like you're doing the same thing again and again. And with the more abilities of course we give them, we can also make the enemies more stronger. We can introduce tougher enemies, like by default we'll have these enemies, maybe more slower, maybe less aggressive, maybe we'll have more enemies later, more ranged enemies, more leeches which will spawn more enemies. So for those reasons they will need high end weapons जो हम लोग आगे उनको दे सकते दूसरे वेव्स के लिए. तो दैट्स व्हाट आई वाज थिंकिंग, एक बेसिक आइडिया विच आई विल हैव टू वर्क ऑन. करेंटली काफ़ी वेग है आइडिया, बट थोड़ा सा है वेव सिस्टम एंड स्टोरी के लाइक बीच में. So that is one thing which is left. What I can do now is create damage numbers. Okay. Only for enemies, not for a player. So yeah, वो हम लोग ट्राई करते हैं अभी. इसके widgets में we'll have to create a widget where we will just be basically showing them different numbers popping up and down. So we can create a user widget, damage numbers something. Bye bye. And इसके अंदर we can have this as a normal panel, canvas panel, and what we will need is we will need to create animations of our numbers appearing, like they're fading in, they're also coming like नीचे से ऐसा आ रहे ऊपर, and then they're just fading out ऊपर जाके. So like a text here. Instead of fill screen, this will be I'll keep it 200 by 200. Give it a text block, damage number text, or damage amount text. Suppose it is 0, it will look like this. If it is 10 तो ऐसे दिखेगा, like center में होना चाहिए basically, but it's not in the center right now, so I'll align it. Now even single digit should be in the center. Okay, by default I'll keep it to 0. And I can just now increase the size like this. And it's going to the top. I'll just have to keep it like that then. And all I can do is I can change my font. So this is like where it will start from. या start नीचे से करके ऊपर जा सकते हैं. So technically center will not matter, like it will start from here, it will go like ऐसा pop up होगा and fade हो जाएगा. We'll create a fade in animation. 2 seconds I think is fine. ज़्यादा नहीं. We'll start from here somewhere 60. X. Oh sorry, the Y. Minus 40. I should be able to add a keyframe, but I think I'll have to do it from here. This is doing a different offset. Okay. So technically we don't need these keyframes. Currently it's very linear, so we'll have to edit the curves to be, has to be ease in ease out, but still edit them. It's going from 60 to 40, so it should go very quickly, then it should like ease out. Something like that. Also in the same way we need it to fade. Goes from 0 not bad. And after some time, like after 1 second or half second, we fade it out or something. But this will be a different animation, not in the same. I can technically just extend this animation and put this there, but I won't do that because maybe the numbers can stay there for some time. Like I want to control the fade out. If I put it inside the same animation, I can control the animation later in runtime. I can technically like pause the animation or something, but I can't like make more space in my animation. Something that's happening within 5 seconds, I can make it do in 10 seconds or something, like a particular part inside my animation. So I will keep this separate so that I'll fade the number in, I'll give a delay, and then I'll make it fade out, and that delay can maybe increase later on if I want to easily. So this will be just a simple 1 second fade out, starting from 1 and ending at 0. Okay, so we'll do it on initialized. We will play animation. This is our fade in anim. Oh, you'll have to do it like this then. Okay, on initialized you basically fade it in. We will of course set the text first. Let's see. Now we can either spawn this or we can keep this in the components, but I don't think keeping it in the components is a good idea. Okay, let's try to maybe spawn it, since it will be screen space technically. That way like we can handle it. From where did you learn Unreal? I learned it myself. Courses or YouTube. If you do want to learn, we recommend a course at gameinstitute.com, gameinstituteindia.com. You can visit the site and you can have further info like about learning Unreal Engine or any basically game development kind of course. If you want, if you're interested in, you can take a look at gameinstituteindia.com, or the link is also like in the description, I think. But within AI, what I can do is I can create a widget every time I take some damage. It is an option, okay? I'm just saying. You can like add to viewport, give it a Z order or whatever. I'm just seeing what else we have for widgets. I can add this. What was widget interaction component? Oh, it takes interaction settings for hit testing and stuff. Okay, no, I don't want an interaction one. I can add a widget component on runtime. That is one thing I can do, or I can create a widget, something, and like I can spawn my damage number in at screen time, screen space. on a draw size somewhere, and I can give it a transform of basically above my player, wherever my player is above it. But I also need to remove it. Remove, destroy component. I'll have to destroy. There's also clear. No, I will have to destroy it. Or I can detach it, but it's better to destroy. So this is what I'll have to do, but I'll have to call fade out first and then I'll have to destroy it, and then we'll see how it goes. Blueprints are better CPP in industrial level. It's not about better, it depends on your project. If it's not a huge project which does have a good overhead for performance in terms of your blueprints, so you can use blueprints. That's not an issue. Like for the whole project you can use blueprints. It's not an it's not like a huge performance issue. Performance issue comes from the way you are doing your code, and also of course the bigger your project is, the more blueprints you have, the more blueprints you're simultaneously running. After some time you may have a performance cost for that. You can always profile it, and then based on that you can switch to C++. But you don't need to make a whole project in only blueprints or only C++. You can combine both of them, and that will give you the best result in terms of performance and in terms of just making the game accessibility for your team. So I was going to add this when I take some damage. Okay, and here is our take damage. So we have radial damage, we have any damage. We'll do it on any damage. As long as we are taking some damage, we will just print those damage numbers here. So like in a sequence, we'll check for this, we'll do this. Add this guy on what location? Our current location. Get actor location just above us. So you give it a offset on like 50 units above your player, and it will be automatically attached. You don't need to manually attach it. And then you will have to get the widget class. Yeah, that will give you the widget component object reference, user widget object reference, and from that you'll have to cast to damage numbers, and damage numbers you'll have to call fade in, or fade in is called by default, so we don't need to do this. So let's see if this happens by default. And if we are giving them damage, nothing is really happening. So good thing to know that this is done on screen space right now. We can always change it to world space. And yeah, we can try that. And whenever our damage numbers is spawned, it will play this animation. Also, we can't do this technically. We'll need to look at it from every angle. Let's do screen space again without destroying the component this time. And nope, we still can't see the numbers. Probably we'll have to add a rotation to this, because let's see, if we do add like a widget component at 0 0 everything, and we give it damage numbers on screen space at begin play. Okay, we can see 0 on them. You can see 0 popping in. That is what we need to do. So ये जो number यहाँ पर आ रहा है screen space पे damage numbers, this is what we need to add it on runtime, which we are doing like this. Maybe I'll need to still call the fade in animation, or if I don't call the fade in animation by default, it should technically spawn like this 0 everywhere. But we can't really see it. Could be a lot of things that is causing this issue. For example, first is the location. We'll need to check our widget component. What if we, okay, this is a relative transform location. We have to give it 0 0 0. Yeah, now we can see. Okay, so you just give the offset here. I didn't notice this was relative. I was just taking a location for no reason. Now we can see. So this will be like 100 units or something, and we will fade this animation in on begin play. We can see the numbers popping in, and the numbers will be basically our damage number, the amount of damage that we have taken. So this damage, we won't promote it. Let's see, यहाँ पर we will have the set, or we'll have damage amount. No, I haven't made it as a variable. So damage amount text, we made it as a variable, and inside AI we get damage amount text. We set text as how much damage did we take. We said that this is a float, so we should convert it to integer, round to integer, and then we will convert that integer into text. Okay, so you can see it's taking 25 25 25 damage. That damage can now be faded out once this is over. Is animation playing or something? Bind we'll have to use from your event. Oh, we can use this one. Nice. Play animation on this widget with trigger finish event when the animation is done. So instead of this one, we can use this, and widget is of course this self blueprint, and once it is finished we will just play the fade out with finished event. Okay, and once it is finished again we will destroy, no, remove clear. I can remove it from my viewport. I don't know, probably this is what I have to do. Oops, he took 1 damage. 25, 25, and it fades out. Okay, the popping in is too slow right now, तो उसको फास्ट करने के लिए I will have to take this whole thing to 1 second. Okay, I can do it like this. So for the numbers to stack, I'll have to do something else. This is not like for stacking yet, but at least we can see the damage that we are doing. And does this still print after they are dead? No. No, only when they are not. So here also we need to actually remove this component, because we are adding a lot of components which we need to remove. Okay, when you're creating something, when you're adding something, so you need to remember to be responsible and to destroy them afterwards. So maybe once the fade out animation is done, I will destroy it. So I can get the fade out and I can bind it to an event when it's finished. Yeah. So when the fade out animation is done, I can basically destroy this component. But it will probably destroy the component that is being created right now. So target is user widget. I'll have to promote this to an array, and then out of that array I'll have to remove it. Hello sir. Hello. So I'll have to probably make an array of widget component references, and उस array में से I will basically keep removing these widgets, because right now they are just like in my AI. Suppose I damage the AI 5 times. I look at this AI. Why can't I click on it? Goblin. Okay, right now it doesn't have. If I don't do this, I hit it 5 times. Okay, it still won't show here. I think, yeah, the components that we are spawning on runtime won't show here, but they are being attached to it and they're not being destroyed. So let me just check if this is the reason. Yeah, I'm not really able to see. If I click on my goblin, I can see the widgets here. No, my goblin. No, you can't really see the widgets that are being spawned and attached, but still you need to remember to remove them. Okay, for now we'll just do this, remove from parent. And if I access widget component, get number of yeah, let me see the number of children components I have every time I take damage. Yeah, you can see the number keeps increasing. I have 8. And what if I print it on tick? Num children components. I can print every frame just to see कि they are not being removed from my main blueprint. So there are 4, 5, 6. All of them are printing. I'll just create a instance editable test boolean just to see, because I just need to check it for this one. Okay, by default it's true. So it's 5, 6, 7, and it only goes up to 7. doesn't print the 8th one. So yeah, we will have to remove it. You can see even after it faded out, we still have 5 components now. So if I damage it again, now we have 6 components. Six faded out, still we have 6. Now we have 7. Now we should print 8, but it's not printing anything. So I think it's because after we die, I'm disabling my tick. Yeah, I'm setting tick enable to false, so we can't really see this happening, but it is happening. Okay. And yeah, that's where I'll take a break now, a short like 5-minute break, and we'll be right back.
Within 5 minutes, and we'll continue our session about making games in Unreal Engine. Until then, watch more about Game Institute. Just wait for a few minutes and I'll be right back. I hope you're enjoying this session, guys, and just wait a few minutes and I'll be right back with you. Thank you so much for waiting, guys, and I'll be there very soon. So guys, thanks for watching, and we'll be right back within 5 minutes, and we'll continue our session about making games in Unreal Engine. Until then, watch more about Game Institute. hope you're enjoying this session, guys, and just wait a few minutes and I'll be right back with you. Just wait for a few minutes and I'll be right back. So guys, thanks for watching, and we'll be right back within 5 minutes and we'll continue our session about making games in Unreal Engine. Until then, watch more about Game Institute. Just wait for a few minutes and I'll be right back. I hope you're enjoying this session, guys, and just wait a few minutes and I'll be right back with you. Thank you so much for waiting, guys, and I'll be there very soon. So guys, thanks for watching, and we'll be right back within 5 minutes and we'll continue our session about making games in Unreal Engine. Until then, watch more about Game Institute. I hope you're enjoying this session, guys, and just wait a few minutes and I'll be right back with you. wait for a few minutes and I'll be right back. So guys, thanks for watching and we'll be right back within 5 minutes and we'll continue our session about making games in Unreal Engine. Until then, watch more about Game Institute. Just wait for a few minutes and I'll be right back. I hope you're enjoying this session guys, and just wait a few minutes and I'll be right back with you. Thank you so much for waiting guys, and I'll be there very soon.
Okay, we are back. So इसमें ठीक है, we'll continue with this part. अभी के लिए ये जो damage numbers दिख रहे हैं, we'll leave it at that, and I'll just make it थोड़ा सा red, I think. Okay, these fade in. टेक्निकली बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट ये ज़ीरो नहीं होना चाहिए, बट बिकॉज ये एनिमेशंस आई थिंक मेरा ओपन है, इसके लिए ऐसा दिख रहा है. नहीं, इट्स स्टिल स्टक ऑन दैट एनिमेशन. रेड ट्राई करते. इट्स वेरी बेसिक बट एटलीस्ट इट्स समथिंग. एंड ठीक है. For now all of them are taking like 20. We can add a multiplier to them so that our bullet gives them a particular amount of damage and they multiply it, the AI, according to their own multiplier. So for example, our bullet is applying 25 damage base on the AI. We can make it like a flat 20, and the AI will take this damage and it will add a damage multiplier. to its the damage it takes. Basically, you can multiply it with a damage multiplier. And wherever we're using damage, this will be used. Okay, we can promote this to a variable, call it damage taken. I can use it like this. It will truncate the value. 1.6 will become 1. Anyway, we're giving damage not in points, but our multiplier is the main thing. By default, multiplier is 1. Some of them will take 1 multiplier, some of them will have 1.2, they can have 1.4, 1.5, stuff like that. The weaker the enemy is, the more their multiplier is. Okay, so for example, we have this goblin AI. Goblin can have a damage multiplier of 1.5. Okay, so goblin takes 30 damage, skeleton takes 20 damage based on their multipliers. Technically, in theory, melee enemies are usually stronger, and the more they rely on their projectiles, they usually have a lower health pool because they annoy you a lot. They can shoot you from a range, so they will also be easier to kill. That is how technically things work. But we can still leave it like this, or we can add more damage to the ranged ones. So what you just need to do is go into this ranged enemy and increase the multiplier also to around 1.5 or 1.6, or even you can go up to 1.8 or something. If you make it multiplier by 2, so you'll just directly give it a damage of 40. Now it's giving a 36 damage. Okay, can be 2. This guy is taking 30 damage, he's taking 40 damage. Okay, this guy is still taking 20, the leech. He's taking the least amount of damage for now. And we will just take a look at what is causing this FPS drop. Why are we on 30 ms? Lumen, scene lighting, shadow depths. Nothing strange here. Shadow depths are a little bit too high, but it's okay, I think. Anyway, तो अभी हम लोग क्या कर सकते हैं? So this damage number for now is done. So the only thing left to do is for now is the wave system. Okay, and like I said, wave system is directly related to the way our game will play out, which is the story of our game. So I can go ahead and make like a little bit of the, not the story, but at least the interaction, or I can just create a simple wave system for now. Which will require our game mode. Top down, I'll have to check. Blueprints, we have GM top down. Okay, and we have our main character, we have our spawner, we have a top down game mode. Okay, and we have our AI, which when it dies we need to update something maybe. Now the main thing is, if we are creating a wave system, first तो हम लोग को एक, just for our purpose, testing purposes, we need a counter to see the amount of enemies that do remain in the current wave. तो वो हम लोग हमारे HUD में create करते हैं. We'll take a horizontal box, add a text, add another text. This is our enemies remain. This text is the amount. Enemies remain amount. Amount text. Amount or the value. What do you use more of the time, C++ or blueprints? I personally use blueprints more because I need to make a lot of different things and I need to iterate a lot. So I prefer blueprints, but depending on the project I will need to switch in between both of them. So it depends basically on the project and what I'm making. But most of the time, if I'm making something just like a prototype or something, not a game that I'm going to launch, I would usually go with blueprints like I am right now. Okay, so enemies remain, we have this text, we have the enemy remain text, which we don't really need to change. Now this is what we will change, the enemies remaining amount. Now by default it's 0. When we initialize everything, which is the start of a game, we will start a wave and we'll initialize the amount of enemies that remain right now in the level, so we can keep a track. As soon as every enemy we kill, we'll change the number from whatever it is, decrement it. I'm a Unity developer and I do want to switch in Unreal. You can, yeah, you can try it out. You can see if you want to switch or you just want to see how it all works. You can try, but yeah. So this is the thing which we will create it as a variable so that we can use it here, and we can set this text anytime we need to update it, we can just set this text. Now what do we set the text? We can technically keep a variable here which tracks the amount of enemies that do remain in our level, or we can create a custom event which will update the enemy remain amount, and we can trigger this every time we kill an enemy. Okay, so this is what our thing currently looks like. I know it's a bit messed up, but because of these delegates that we are using, there's no way for me to not do it like this. I can like do it this way, but in the end these delegates will they'll go like this. Okay, and we will need to use more delegates because every time uh, an enemy dies or something, we will update this, but we won't update it directly. We won't just check if an enemy is dead and we'll do this. No, our things inside here will be handled by our game mode. So game mode will be the blueprint responsible for starting our wave, also for ending our wave. End this wave. It will also have the information about the number of enemies which we have spawned already. Okay, the max amount of enemies in this wave, so that we don't spawn more enemies than the max enemies that are available. So suppose we are on wave 1, we only need 5 enemies in wave 1. Wave 2 maybe we need 10 enemies. Wave 3 we need maybe like not 15, but maybe we'll need 13 enemies. So as soon as we've spawned like max number of enemies in this wave, suppose this is wave number 2 and we've already spawned 10 enemies, so we need to keep track and we will need to end the wave. Not directly end the wave, but at least we need to tell our spawner to stop spawning things. So that is one thing. Enemies spawned, the max enemies in wave. What else do we need? The current wave number. Okay. I'm learning C++, DSA, OpenGI stuff for more advanced game dev. If you do have this skills, how do you apply at AAA studio or big companies? This, it's not about just the skill that is enough. It's more about what you can do with the things that you have learned. So if you have created some projects using that stuff, you can approach uh, the studios and you can try to show them your potential. And yeah, usually it's like if you're going into a AAA studio, they have their own system which is in place, and they will make you learn that system first, like their whatever engine they're working on. It's not as simple as just as long as you know C++, you can work in the studio. No, they'll teach you their own game engine or whatnot, and the way you have to work on there. So in the end, all that matters is the quality of your projects and what you can do with the skills that you have. Okay, so suppose we have this current wave, and based on this current wave we will decide this. So based on this will be decided. How will that be decided? When we start the wave. So when we start the wave, we'll take the current wave and we'll set the max enemies in this wave by, for now we'll just suppose to multiply just current wave by 2. Okay, and we'll also again, like suppose current wave is 2, so we multiply 2 by 2, we get 4. We'll multiply 4 with either 2, 2.23 something, like a random variable between 2 to 4, something like that we can do. Or we can add an offset, which will basically do like current wave amount into 3 or current wave into 4. So like fourth wave we'll get 16 enemies, plus we can get an offset of like between 1 to 10, we can get a random number, and that is how many enemies will be in this wave. Like we can do it like that, or for now we can just leave it at current wave into 3 something at the start. And once we've done this, we can tell our spawner to now start this thing, which is doing this guy is doing it by default. We need to make a custom event to start our spawn wave. Okay, so that it will start spawning enemies after we have started our wave system in our game mode. We'll tell it, or we'll just use an event dispatcher, and this guy will subscribe to it and he'll know. I mean, I'm familiar with game dev fundamentals, and I make a few games and tools with Unity. Yeah, then that's good. It's a good thing. So in this, we can create an event dispatcher known as start wave, but it is technically the same name. We can go with like an underscore, or if you want, you can go with an ed for event dispatches, and then you can start your thing, and you call start wave. So the spawner will of course get your game mode, it can cast your top down and save a reference to your game mode. And saving a reference of your game mode is not a big deal. It's not something that you should be afraid of in terms of performance. And here we have our ed start wave, and we will bind this event. So as soon as any wave starts, because we can start multiple waves, not at a single time, but we'll start, we'll end, we'll start, we'll end. So within the time of our game, we can start a wave 100 times. So every time this is called start wave, it will call the dispatcher and we'll start our wave. And every 2 seconds, I'll just promote this to a variable, call it my spawn timer, and which is for now 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds we'll spawn a enemy. That is my plan for now. And once the wave ends, we need to disable spawning these things. Okay, so, or it's not end wave, it's more like max enemies reached, something like that. End wave is when the we have stopped spawning our enemies, but also when we've cleared all the enemies that are inside a level. Not spawning the enemies and killing all the enemies that are inside the level is different things. What is your course fees of Unreal or Professional? You can go on to gameinstituteindia.com, and on the website you'll find everything regarding our course and everything else regarding our institute. So there you can get all the info, and you can even enroll yourself for a course and you can find all the details, contact details. So yeah, if you're interested, just go to gameinstituteindia.com. Okay, there's this one here. I hope it's a clickable link. I don't know. But in this end wave now, this is basically our max enemies reached or spawned. Then we will create a ed stop spawn wave and we will call this. Okay, so when we stop spawning our enemies, we will again bind event to stop spawn wave, and custom event will be to stop the spawn wave, and this will not do anything, this will just clear our timer, that's it. Once this is done, we will not spawn any more enemies in our level. Okay, so for now nothing, it will not work, it will not spawn any more enemies because we haven't initialized it. Okay, you can see no enemies are being spawned because our start wave is not being initialized yet. So we can just start it on begin play for now, like the first wave always starts on our begin play, so we can do that. And also using references through the through different events, I would rather promote this to a variable, call it my crosshair. Okay, and on begin play also what I can do is start my wave. So right now we're not checking for anything, but we will start the wave. We will set our current wave into 3 as our max enemies in this wave, which will be current wave will be 1. It will start from 1 and then we'll go further. So it will be 1 into 3, suppose. It will be just 3 enemies in the first wave, nothing crazy. We can always tweak these values later on, but we'll start the wave. Okay, we'll start the spawn wave. यहाँ पर we set the timer and we start spawning enemies every 2 seconds. We are spawning and we're spawning these actors. Every time we spawn these actors, we need to store that okay, we have spawned a new enemy. So we need to tell our game mode that enemy spawned. Okay, and we will, like here we'll call enemy spawned, something like this. And inside our game mode, every time a new enemy is being spawned, I will increment my int, which by default is 0. It will keep incrementing it to 1, 2, 3, 4 and stuff like that. Okay, also it can increase now this this thing, enemies remain text. So for now we can take the HUD and we can call update enemy remain amount, and we will have to add an integer value. These are the amount of enemies that remain. What happened? Could not find a pin for parameter value. Okay, I will just need to compile, and compiling solves the issue. Also, I need to make this anchored to the top right of my screen. Now I can see enemies remain, and it goes from 0 to nothing because I have not connected this value here. And now enemies remain will go up to 1, 2, 3, and that's it. I think 4, 5. Okay, it keeps going because right now we are not checking that we have reached the max amount and we should stop. So what we need to do is, every time we are spawning our enemies, we need to first check can we spawn, right? So I will need to ask permission from my game mode that can we actually spawn an enemy. We'll create a function can spawn enemy, which will have a return node like spawn maybe. What this will do is it will check the amount of enemies that we have already spawned. We will check the max amount of enemies in wave. As long as the enemies we have spawned is less than the max enemies in this wave, we will tell it ki okay, you can go ahead and spawn. Okay, and inside the spawner we'll just create can spawn enemy, and we'll run it, but I think I will make it pure for now. This will be a pure function. And then I can just add a branch. Okay, so every time we spawn enemy, we check can we spawn enemies. Then if we can, we'll go ahead with our branch and we'll get a location, and then we'll spawn. After spawning, we'll tell our game mode okay, we have finally spawned an enemy. It will increase this amount and it will update the HUD. Done all of that. Now let's check if at least this much is working. So we should not have more than 3 enemies, I think, in our level. And yes, we only have 3 enemies. Okay, and we have, I think, reached the max amount. We can print that max enemy amount reached. Okay, we're not calling this. Correct. So we need to call this after we have checked that okay, this is the issue. And after we have checked for this, we will call function that max enemies have been spawned if it is false. So it will still be a pure function, but this function will call another function. So 1 2 3 and max enemy amount is reached. Okay, and this is not to be confused with for now because we are not using most of these things. With the same reference. Okay, or we're not even using this. Hmm. Now when I've reached the max amount of enemies, we'll stop this. Okay, all cool. But we still need to end our wave. Our wave has not ended yet because we have not killed all the enemies that are in our level. So for that, every time an enemy dies, we need to update that enemy died. Suppose, okay. Then yes, we'll also need to make another variable enemies in level, the amount of enemies that exist inside our level, which by default is 0, but it will increase as soon as we spawn different enemies, which is here. Okay, these two are different things. The number of enemies that we've spawned and the number of enemies in our level is different. Why? Because once we've spawned the enemies, we can also kill them. So if we spawn 2 enemies, I kill 1 enemy, this value will still be 2 because we have spawned 2 enemies. That will never change. But this value will go down to 1 because every time we kill an enemy, we will decrement this here. Okay, every time enemy dies, decrement it. Every time we spawn an enemy, we increment it. And here we also, it is better to clamp it min. I'll just clamp it and put a max value, like a very high max value. so that it does not go below 0. Okay, now every time an enemy dies, we again need to update the amount of enemies in our level, not the amount of enemies that spawn, but amount of enemies in our level. Now this is something that we need to call. So every time our AI dies, which is here, death is, it will always happen. Death is like Thanos, inevitable. So this game mode, we don't have a game mode reference, we'll have to make a game mode reference. GM top down, promote, okay, set this, move this. Okay, now we got a game mode reference, call it GM. A GM will tell it that enemy died. A game mode will be like, okay, enemy died, so enemies in level is now one enemy less. And yeah, but the only problem is if I've already kept in some enemies like these ones, they will technically negate our enemies remain amount to 0. Now we have 3 enemies, we have 2 enemies, we have, okay, that should have been 1 enemy. And that should also have been only 1 enemy. Every time this enemy dies, we are upgrading this. Let me delete these guys and then let's see. The enemies remain should go up normally 1, 2 and 3. If I kill one enemy, it should go to 2. Okay. If I kill this guy, okay, it only does it once, I'm assuming. It only does it once. It's not because of the do once. Let's print this value. We have 1, 2, this is 1, we again have 2, kill this guy, again have 1. Now I think it's working. Where's the last guy? Here is 0. Okay, all good. So the issue was with the clamp. If I kill one, it's 2. If I kill another, it's still 2. Bye bye. Probably an issue with the clamp, I think, but we are setting the minimum to 0, so I don't know. Bye bye. This is better then. So everything is working. Now when this is 0, we need to check that can we spawn more enemies or no. Enemies remain 0 and now the wave should be completed finally. So now since the wave is, we have not completed it yet, since it is done here, what we need to do is we need to check if our enemies in level is equal to 0, but also are we done spawning our enemies, because as soon as we spawn one enemy and we kill it, our enemies level in level remaining are 0 because we have not spawned the next enemy yet. And if we just end the wave before spawning other enemies, then obviously we have an issue. We just need to check if our can spawn enemy is true. Okay, yeah, this one. We can technically do this. Take an and. We can do after this. First we update the text. And then we check if we are done. We'll call the stop wave, and then maybe we can have an HUD which says that okay, your wave is completed. So we'll have a text here in the center, wave complete or wave text. Maybe like we can do a wave begin, wave completed, like text. So we can do wave started, when we start the wave and when we end the wave. Okay, this will be alignment will be 0.5 in the center of my screen, and I will increase the size to this is okay. How does it look in complete caps? Yeah, not bad. Wave started. This will pop up, and just like for a second, wave started, and it will fade out. So we'll need to add some animations to this, and it will also be like wave completed. Also we'll need to move it in the center always. So if it is like wave started and wave completed, always in the center. Okay, now we'll see it always, so we will have to hide it, keep it hidden. Okay, so with that, I'll just take a short break of 5 minutes and we'll continue from here and do our UI part about the wave completion and the initial starting. Okay.
So guys, thanks for watching, and we'll be right back within 5 minutes, and we'll continue our session about making games in Unreal Engine. Until then, watch more about Game Institute. Just wait for a few minutes and I'll be right back. I hope you're enjoying this session, guys, and just wait a few minutes and I'll be right back with you. Thank you so much for waiting, guys, and I'll be there very soon. So guys, thanks for watching, and we'll be right back within 5 minutes, and we'll continue our session about making games in Unreal Engine. Until then, watch more about Game Institute. I hope you're enjoying this session, guys, and just wait a few minutes and I'll be right back with you. Just wait for a few minutes and I'll be right back. So guys, thanks for watching, and we'll be right back within 5 minutes, and we'll continue our session about making games in Unreal Engine. Until then, watch more about Game Institute. Just wait for a few minutes and I'll be right back. I hope you're enjoying this session, guys, and just wait a few minutes and I'll be right back with you. Thank you so much for waiting, guys, and I'll be there very soon. So guys, thanks for watching, and we'll be right back within 5 minutes, and we'll continue our session about making games in Unreal Engine. Until then, watch more about Game Institute.
Hello, I'm back. So let's continue with our UI. So this wave completed, we need to add a not just a visibility toggle, but more of an animation which will basically fade it in and fade it out. Okay, so we'll make a custom event to turn it on and off, the fade in animation, but we will create the animation here. Wave fade in. We can play the same animation in reverse to fade it out, or we can just add the fade in and out in the same animation, which is I think the better thing to do. For example, render opacity about 5 seconds is fine. We'll take a second for it to fade in. It will be on 0. 1 second later goes up to 1, and till 4 seconds stays there, another second, goes out. That's the animation. Okay. So technically this we will keep it okay, let's just keep it hidden. On runtime we'll make it not hit testable, and then we'll play the animation, and after the animation is done we'll change it to hidden again. So on a custom event we will add, suppose, start wave. And how will we start the wave? Again, by binding an event from our game mode. This is our top down game mode. Same thing like we did in our spawner. We can promote this and we can have bind event to ed start wave. Okay, when the wave starts, simply take the wave text, set the visibility to not hit testable, and then we will play the animation. Play animation with a finished event. Self. When it is finished, we will set visibility of this widget to hidden again. Also, I think when we start the wave, we should set this text. Because we are using the same text for our wave started and wave completion. So we will add a wave started, and I can promote it to a variable called wave started text and wave completed text. This will be completed. So on start wave this will happen, then we can bind event to ed completed wave. Now we have not made a completed wave here. So when this happens, basically we'll make an event dispatcher wave completed, and we will call it. So when the last enemy dies and we don't have any more enemies and we can't spawn any more enemies, then we'll call the wave to be completed. Okay, when the wave is let me just see what was I doing here. Max enemy spawned, and we're calling spawn stop wave. Yeah, that's different. So yes, wave completed, we'll spawn and here we will bind event to wave completed. When we complete the wave, we have to make another custom event which will technically do the same thing, but it will just change this text. I can collapse it to a function, but it is a latent node, so I can't do that. I also cannot add a input parameter to this event because this does not have an input parameter. So in this case, I think it's okay to do this. I'll just copy it again. If I did have an input parameter here, I can go ahead and create an input parameter, and then based on that input parameter I will change either started or ended, like just this text, completed text, like this. But I don't know if I want to do that, because then every time I'm starting the wave, I also need to make sure everywhere that I'm using start wave, they are also using that boolean in their events that they're binding, which is not really ideal. Okay, so I'll do this and we'll check if things are working fine. For example, wave started. Okay, we have 3 enemies. We kill 1, we kill 2, we kill 3. And it did not call our completed wave. Okay, so when this enemy died and there are no more enemies, oh, this should be false. We can spawn enemy should be false, then we can call wave completed. Wave completed. Okay, and after the wave is completed, we can go ahead and do whatever. Like if you want to start another wave, you want to go and upgrade your things, stuff like that. Okay, also for I think our MJ, every time we complete a wave, we will refuel kind of our things, like maybe we'll see to it that the health goes up to 100, because between every wave we may take damage. For example, we take damage here. Now maybe we complete the wave. I've turned my cheats on, so I won't take damage anymore. But now since we've completed our wave, we also need to update this. So that is the main thing. Okay, let me just check. Oh, I see. So the reason we are taking this FPS hit is, I think, because of my stream setup is a bit different this time compared to the ones we were doing before. So I don't think this FPS hit is due to something that is happening in game, but actually outside of it. I just checked, so that will be fixed next stream. So the performance drop that we are seeing, like we're seeing up to 30 FPS, 29 ms, we can get it up back to like 60 FPS, which was happening the last time we were streaming. Okay, wave completed. Let me just check. Wave completed also running for every time I'm using my grenade. Also, yeah, one more thing I should test, that when only a single enemy remains, if I kill him and the enemies remain goes to 0, still the wave is not completed. So I have one enemy, I'll kill him by my grenade, and yeah, wave is completed. Okay, so what can we do between our waves? Camera is frozen. Oh, is it? Is it okay now? Hmm. Okay, it's a issue with this cam software, I think, with OBS. Every time I think I change focus, yeah, every time I switch windows, if I focus on like the Unreal window, my camera is not really being focused. Bro, what would be the ideal budget for gaming dev from your pod? What's my pod? Do you mean like POV? Uh, Ideal budget PC, I would say like at least a 1650 if you're going for a Nvidia GPU. I would say at least like a 1650, at least 8 GBs of RAM, and processor you can go for, if you're going in AMD, I would go for at least like a 2600 or a 3600. And the only other thing that I can recommend is getting an SSD, because you would not at all want to run Unreal on an HDD. You do not. So SSD, 8 GB RAM, 26 3600 something processor, and a 1650 graphics card. That is like the minimum I would say that you should go if you want to have. Uh, I wouldn't say like an enjoyable experience, but at least a default like experience. And you can go higher if your budget allows you. And the thing I would suggest upgrading first is the GPU, I think, because everything that Unreal is doing right now, you can see on my screen, like the reason I'm getting 60 FPS, or the reason when I play this I get 30 FPS, is all bound to my GPU right now. Because you can see my GPU is rendering one frame every 28 ms. So because of that I'm getting my frame drops. So usually you will be GPU bound, you won't do much complicated stuff at the beginning. That is why I'm also checking my performance time to time. All of it basically depends on my GPU. Okay, so anyway, what I was thinking is that we can add a NPC here, which we can just go and we can press E and we can talk to him, and that's how like our wave starts. Or we can have a thing here in the middle, which we go and press E and then the wave starts. So yeah, one of those two, like either an NPC, or it doesn't matter if it's a character or if it is a static object, as long as we can just go and interact with it, our wave should start. And later on we can add like waves, so that like we can communicate with the NPC and they'll tell us that okay, this is a thing, this is a story, this is why you're here, and the enemies are attacking my maybe like my shop or my area, and I can help you with some equipments, but I would like that you maybe get rid of these guys for me. And that's how the wave starts. So let's see if we can set up an enemy, or what meshes do we have in terms of props. We have a flag, we have a statue. Wow. Okay, it's not bad. I think we can start with the statue, right? So we can keep the statue here, and every time we go and press E on the statue, our wave will start, like something like that, just so that we have something to start new waves. Every time we do complete our wave, there is nothing really starting our wave again. What would it take to make a PUBG clone by time and budget if you're going to create it? What it would take is actually beyond time and budget. First thing that you will need is a team. You'll need a team of people who are experienced enough to make something like that. And by time and budget depends on the team, of course. You can have a team of 100 people, you can have a team of 10 people. So if you have a team of 10 people, it will require more time and maybe less budget. If you have a team of more people, it will require less time, but it may require more budget. So depends on how big of a team you have and how big of a project that you are going to make, because clones can be of lower quality, they can be a high quality clone, a AAA level clone, so it depends. Okay, what we will do is we will create a blueprint actor. What do I call this? My wave starter, my wave interactor, something, player interactor, or my hub, I can call it for now. This is the thing that I will interact with, hub slash interactor. I don't like adding slash, nor can I actually add slash. I can only add underscores. So I will call it my hub for now. And this hub has a static mesh, which is my statue. Okay, of course it is too big, so we need to make it small. This is fine, and we can then change the blueprint size to be a little bit smaller. And navigation wise, I don't think I wanted to affect navigation. Maybe we can change it later, but for now I don't want it to affect anything. And is this facing forward? I don't think so. We can always just add an arrow to verify, and as you can see, the arrow is facing right, so this mesh should also be rotated minus 90 degrees. Now it's facing the arrow. The reason for the arrow is so that I can have a collider and I can only interact with the statue when I'm standing in front of it, not behind it. Because if it is an NPC, you can't talk to an NPC when you're behind them. Technically, you can talk to them and then like they will turn and they will talk to you. You can do it that way, but I think I'll prefer my NPC to be like still at a shop or something, like standing here, and then I can just go and press E and I can talk to it, and then I'll start the wave like that. So I can just go from this angle. Okay, so I will have a collider here so that I am facing it. What's your opinion on Mumbai Gullies? I would say it's great. More and more people getting into game dev from India. Yeah, definitely. I think the more games that people create in India, like youth scale games or even double A games, the more people will get into game dev. So it's good for awareness. Not just Mumbai Gullies, but all the games that are coming out from Indian studios. I am of course in support of that, and I like playing those games and supporting those games so that a lot of people are being aware, about game dev in India, which is not so popular here. That is also something that I'm doing right now, trying to teach people that you can also make a game yourself inside Unreal, like how I'm making. And it doesn't matter where you are, as long as you have access to this Unreal engine called Unreal Engine, you are fit to develop a game. That's my purpose of doing this live stream here. Okay, so inside this hub I will add a collider. Okay, I'll add a sphere. I think I should add a capsule collision. Okay, static mesh will not have any collisions. No reason for static mesh to have a collision. And this capsule will be, yeah, it can be world dynamic, it can be world static. It overlaps with almost, okay, let's say it ignores everything except my pawn. It overlaps with my pawn. Actually, I'll have to make it overlap with this, because the way I will interact with stuff is by adding another collider inside my own MJ blueprint. That will of course come from where I'm facing. So wherever my forward is, I will have a collider like this. And this will be, it can be a world dynamic. It overlaps with, I would say it ignores the enemy, it ignores the bullet, it ignores throwables, it ignores arrows, it ignores all these other things. It only overlaps with my world statics and world dynamics. Okay, which is what my hub collider will be. So now when I do press my interact key, I will make an interact key here. I'm using default Unreal Engine inputs, the legacy bindings. So I will create interact key with E. So when my player does interact, it will check my capsule, which is my interaction capsule. I will check the actors that it is overlapping with. and if it is overlapping with something that is interactable, which is why I think it is better to create a blueprint interface, things that are interactable. I just taught this to my students yesterday. I was typing students. This is my interact function, and my hub will have a BPI interactable so that it can interact with things, and when it is interacted with, it can take the game mode and it can tell the game mode that player tried to interact with this. It will not start the wave, that is on my game mode to check and start the wave, but it will create a custom event of interacted with my hub. So when you interact with hub, you can check if the wave is currently going on. If it is, then we won't do anything. If the wave is not going on, we can start the wave. So I'll have to check here. So once I have started this wave, I'll just create another boolean here. Wave started. I'll set it to true, and when we are done here, we will set this to false so that the wave in progress is a better name. So when my wave is started, I will say the wave is in progress. The wave is not in progress anymore. When I interact with the hub, I will check if my wave is still in progress. If it is in progress, I won't do anything. If it is not in progress, I will tell it to start a wave. Okay. And here in this hub, I will get my game mode. I will cast it to top down game mode, and I will tell it to interacted with hub. Okay. I've played Immortal is playing at sub 720 at launch with non-consistent 60 FPS on PS5. Do you think Unreal have good future on consoles? When Decima RE can run games start near 4K at 60 FPS on console. Yeah, Unreal of course has a good future on consoles because their main game Fortnite is running on almost every platform at this day, and that is how they benchmark games. And it's not about the engine that it can run on PS5 or on PS4 a particular game at 60 FPS. It's more about the developer, if he's skilled enough, if they are skilled enough to optimize their game enough and to get more out of this engine so that they can run any kind of game and they can target it at 60 FPS on PS5 or something. It can definitely happen. If you have played Jedi Survivor or Fallen Order, they are both made on Unreal Engine 4, not even UE5. They're made on 4 and they look very nice. And they both run on PS5 and they run very nice. Like they even run on PC very nice. They had performance issues before, but they're running constantly. Like on 60 1080 is very easy for them, but they can also run 1440 60 depending on your hardware. And even on PS4 it can do 1080 60, I think. But it's not about the game that can do or can't do, it's more about how the developers have optimized that game to do well. So Unreal Engine is very much, it is capable of handling any kind of hardware that is currently in the market, and it can produce quality games for it. And you will see in the future, I think Wulong is one of the games I think which will make a difference for that, because it is being developed in UE5 and it is a combat game, so it is targeting 60, 1080 60, or even like 1440 60. So games are definitely, they can be made on Unreal for PS5. But anyway, I will interact with hub, I will start the wave, and now to interact I need to check if the overlapping actors for each loop does implement interface. Yeah, Wukong was it? Yeah, Black Myth Wukong, yeah, that game. It's predicted for a 2024 release. BPI interactable. I can check if it does implement this interface, then I will call interact. Okay. Also, of course, I will need to have a UI on that, but for now, this is what we will do. And let's check. Now we won't start the wave initially on begin play. Instead, we will use this thing to start the wave. So we'll go here, we press E, and now the wave is started. Okay. If I go here, I press E again, nothing should happen. Okay, it won't start or end the wave, but once I kill every one of them, wave is completed. I go here, I press E, the wave is started again. When the wave starts again, we need to reset some things, because we can see the enemies are not being spawned. So every time we restart the wave, we need to first update this current wave. So I'll start current wave from 0 and I'll increment it every time we start it, and then after incrementing we will take the current wave multiplied by 3, that is the max enemies, and we have to reset these guys basically. So every time our wave is completed, we have to reset the amount of enemies that have been spawned, or we can do this when we start the wave, we can set it to 0. Okay, enemies in level also, of course they will be 0, but still we can take the enemies in level, we can reset them to 0. So no enemies in the level, enemies remain 0. I go here, I press E, my wave starts. I try pressing E again, nothing happens. My enemies are spawning. I kill these guys. Okay, wave completed. I go here, I press E, wave started again. And again same, enemies are spawning. This time there are more than 3 enemies. This time it's 6 enemies, and I killed already one of them, or 2 of them I think. So 4 remain, 3, 2, 1, and wave is completed. Go here, I press E again and wave starts again. Now we can see the enemies remain amount climb up. Enemies remain 7, 8 and 9. Third wave, 9 enemies we have. We can just use a grenade and just explode each and every one, and I think one enemy is somewhere stuck. Okay, he's here finally, and wave is completed. Okay, so that is our basic wave setup. We can also have a count the number of waves that we have completed, and we can reset our health. We can just disable our UI when we complete the wave and only enable it when the wave is actually started. And we can also have a button here so that we can see okay, you can interact with this statue, and when we press E only then the wave will start. I've always been fascinated toward game and game development, but now I'm working as Ethereum developer, but was skeptic about as career. Yeah, game development for me is like the thing to do always. It's a good career. I feel like not a lot of people are just like attracted towards that as an option, but I feel like it is a very interesting option. At least for me it was, and it still is. So yeah, we have to add a interact HUD for this guy. So this is like our interact user widget interact, and this will have a panel, hundred by hundred. We'll have it E, and above that we'll write like interact or something. So we can have a vertical box which spans the whole panel, and we will add two text boxes, not boxes but normal texts. This will be my E for interact. This will be my actual interact. Both will be on fill. Font 24, I think. Then I'll increase the width and height to 200. But this is the issue, that it doesn't stay in the center. I'll have to make it something like this. But now an idea of becoming game dev comes and goes. Also, I've been collecting free assets from one or other sites. Maybe in the future, maybe a side hobby. Yeah, usually that's what people do. Game development. I think a very high percentage of people that are into game dev are just doing it as a side hobby and not as a main career option. And that's fine, I think. Some people have playing games as a hobby, some people have making games as a hobby because they like to basically create something. A lot of people have that drive to create something for other people, and some people are just like they create games as a hobby. That's also a good thing. So we'll use this one, okay, above this guy. So when you are near it, only then you need that option. So for that we will need to create another event or another function in or can be interacted with, or actually in range of interaction. So when our player MJ suppose, and this interaction capsule does begin to, oh, where are these functions? Okay, when it does begin to overlap with a particular actor, and that actor does implement interactable interface, I can call its in range of interaction. What will in range of interaction do? When you are in range of interaction, you will create, of course, a widget, not interaction, but a normal widget here, screen space. You can call it your, what was it, UW interact, and I'll keep it like here somewhere. So what we need to do is hide and unhided, I guess. That's all we need to do. This is our interact text. When we are in range, we set hidden in game to false, and by default, or not hidden in game but visibility, by default it's set to invisible, and when we do go it when we do go in its range, we will make it visible. What's your PC specs? Currently I think this is running on a RX 580 and a Ryzen 3600, and this event will make it visible, but we also need to make it out of range. We can use this same one and create an input saying in range. We can call that same event when we are in range or out of range. In range, out of range, and here if we are in range it will be visible, if we are out of range it will not be visible basically. Okay, there's an error. Yeah, now if we go here we can interact. So it's not looking very nice. There might be too much space here. Let's keep it a bit tidy. No, it's still doing the same thing. I'll reset the location. It's probably the draw size then, or I'll have to make it like 200 by 100. Yeah, 100 by 100 is fine. Go in its range, you interact, and the wave starts. But now this has to position itself well, this interaction. You can see this is fine, but if I take it on its head, yeah, this is not so bad. Maybe we can make it underground. Let's see. Yeah, I think underground is fine. E for interact, wave starts, stuff happens. We can still interact, but nothing will happen. So we can switch that off, interaction, if we want. Wave completed, go ahead, interact, and the wave starts. What if in the middle of the wave completed text animation we start the wave again? Let me see. There may be a glitch here which I have not tested yet, but I know I usually do end up having glitches. Okay, no, it ran fine, I think. So kill all the enemies. Who's left? Who's left? Someone here. Okay, here. Wave completed. Interact. Wave started, and it's working fine. Yeah. Okay. So no issues, no bugs, no glitches, and I mean there may be glitches, but at least not for now. No glitches as of yet, and I think things are working fine. So we can clear the remaining amount of enemies in this wave. How many left? One. Kill this guy. Wave completed. Go here again. Wave started, and this wave will probably have 12 enemies. Kill these guys, kill these guys, nade these guys. There's a leech spawned. Leech can't be grenaded, no grenade damage. We can shoot it, and yes, we have done. Okay, so infinite waves are spawning right now. Logic is like every wave we'll have wave multiplied by 3 amount of enemies. We can change that later on. Okay, but that is it, I think. That is where we'll end it today. Next time we'll probably see like for a story for this game. Abhi ke liye, like the game is just starting out from here. Maybe we'll have like an interaction system where the player will walk in, there will be a level, and after the wave is completed, maybe we'll try to upgrade some things. Maybe we'll give it a grenade later on, or we'll give the player a shotgun or something. So that is something we'll focus on for the next time. And yeah, that was it for today. If anybody has any questions, you can type it out in the chat, and I'll see if I can answer some last questions before we end the session. Okay, so that's it. So at timer while another wave begin. हाँ, I can do that, but the point is कि currently the waves are not on timers. Waves are on interactions. So every time a wave ends, I am interacting with this. So then the wave starts. So that the enemy, or sorry, the player has the option to do things in between waves. Like ऐसा नहीं है infinitely wave start होने वाला system नहीं है. We can maybe upgrade some things between the waves, or maybe we can go to another npc, we can talk to them, and maybe like we can do they are some quest or something, so they will give us some different objects or some different items which will help in our waves. तो like we can have different npcs in different areas, वहाँ पर जाके हम लोग उनसे interact करेंगे, they will give us different items, and then उनके वहाँ पर with that item we will maybe run 3 or 4 waves there. So ऐसे टाइप के अलग अलग sections we can have, so the player has the choice of starting a wave before starting it. तो that I think is better than starting it on a timer, so that थोड़ा घूम भी सकते हैं यहाँ गेम में. Okay, so yes, we'll continue this next week as always every Thursday, and we'll see you later.